Hi, this is Eddie Lau, and you are listening to the Banking and Finance Insider podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Banking and Finance Insider podcast. Created by integrating virtual and augmented reality, artificial intelligence, the cryptocurrency, and other technologies, the Metaverse is a 3D virtual space with different worlds for users to enhance their personal and professional experiences, from gaming and socializing to business and financial growth. That means banking may ultimately play a significant role in the Metaverse. Whether exchanging currencies between different worlds, converting virtual or real-world assets, or creating compliant meta-lending options, financial institutions will have no shortage of new and traditional ways to expand their operations within this young virtual space. In today's episode, we are tackling banking in the Metaverse era with Mr. Eddie Lau, Chief Executive Officer at ARTA TechFin Corporation Limited. Mr. Lau, hello and welcome to this episode, and thank you for taking the time to record this podcast.
No, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is mine. So, before diving into the conversation, can we just start with learning a little bit more about you, like your background, your professional journey, and why the TechFin?
Interesting that you asked. I was born in Hong Kong and then I went to the United States for university at University of Chicago. Then I entered the financial industry with UBS. That was the beginning of, back then, actually we call it very cool and very advanced and exciting trading environments. Obviously, 20 years later, the speed at which we trade back then was a bit slower than now, given the technology advancements. So I've been in the finance industry for 20 years in trading, investments, and hedge funds. It comes to a point where you can't ignore the Metaverse, you can't ignore FinTech. And fortunately, I get the opportunity from Dr. Adrian Chen to basically work at ARTA to develop technology-driven financial platforms.
That's interesting, Mr. Lau. So now we're talking about Metaverse and the concept of Metaverse banking. So what is the difference between Metaverse banking and digital banking? Are they the same? Are they different?
Metaverse banking is a big area. Perhaps we can try to understand it from the bank perspective, and then we can try to understand it from a client perspective. They care about two experiences, the physical and the virtual worlds. So that's where hopefully they say, look at me, if I want to do my banking, if I want to withdraw money, if I want to make a financial transactions, I want to be able to do it, of course, physically, and also now I want it to be in Metaverse or virtually. So this is way more than a normal digital banking experience that you can have today. I think that's from a client perspective what Metaverse banking is about. And then from a bank perspective, obviously, we have to provide them clients, a very satisfactory experience. That's how you keep your clients. I think from a bank perspective, especially for those today, I think a lot of audience working in the banking industry, it is the banking or client experience that you can offer that matter. So perhaps in the later question we can go through in details, but I think in general that's what Metaverse banking is about. From client perspective, it is a digital experience. From the bank perspective, it is making sure that the client find it interesting.
So who needs this the most? Us as users or the banks and the financial institutes?
I think both, actually. So it's a great question. It's like, I remember when I started 20 years ago in New York, we're still writing paper tickets when we trade. So from a client perspective, they want it to be on the technology platforms. from a trader perspective, I want everything to be done on a technology platform as well. So it's always the user and also the provider who both want the technologies. I think to be exact, then you can consider a metaverse into four distinctive pieces. One is the technology itself, and then the platform, and the marketplace where people can come together, and finally the commerce where you can really conduct some activity. And these four puzzles are equally important for both the banks and the customers. And I can assure you that all the customers today actually love it if you see how DeFi community have grown.
So what is the real core of metaverse banking? So are we talking about human forces? Are we talking about skill sets? Are we talking about the money that we need to invest in order to operate in that virtual space?
In fact, it is between two words, I think. One is trust, and the other core is actually fun, interactive. So the trust part will never go away. You can never have a metaverse banking that's not so safe. And I think that's one of the reasons why, while DeFi is extremely interesting and attractive, DeFi is still relatively small compared to traditional banking. And some people will think it's a matter of time that DeFi will take over traditional banking. I don't think so, because traditional banking is much safer. I mean, people like myself, I'm over 40s. I really don't want a single dollar of my money to be lost or to be subject to any risk of being stolen. So trust is a big matter. And then with that trust, for example, like traditional banks who already have earned trust from your customers, you give them the most wonderful experience. You give them, and again, we can talk into details later on, but the most wonderful experience will be something that they can enjoy virtually, something that they find interactive, something that they find instant gratifications. I mean, these are key. It has to be fun and interactive.
Now, if I'm going to take you to a wider scale, which is mostly a sector scale, even a government scale, when it comes to the growth opportunities and comparing with all these challenges when it comes to trust, legal aspects, even environmental aspect, are there a real growth opportunities in this virtual space?
I think we're so early into the metaverse that the amount of growth is limitless. It is similar to the 90s when everyone was wondering, in fact, they were quite doubtful, but they're still hoping that internet connection will become prevalent so that we can have high-speed internet, so that we can do video conference call, we can do Zoom. Back then it was a fantasy, but everyone wants it. So if you stand, that was in the 90s. If you think about today, and if you try to roll forward 7 to 8 years, that was 2030, you probably have, some kind of fantasy and expectations. For that will be, you can basically do all your banking services in the metaverse with immersive experience, and then you can still trust everything you do being secure. So I think that will be, where we see. So in fact, the growth is quite immense. And in fact, growth opportunity, I think there are a few areas. One area is actually the physical experience that I've mentioned earlier. Physical means a combination of virtual and physical. So imagine how you can use NFT, for example, to basically, conduct your banking service, your bank account, for example, for the transactions that you have, or even for the currency that you're trading. It can be a stable coin, it can be a Ethereum or Bitcoin, or it can also be CBDC, which is a central bank issued currencies. So these are the growth areas. So you're not just dealing with traditional fiat anymore. You can also go into investment products, which will be, I think, should be heavily regulated so that investing interests are protected. And with the emergence of regulations, we actually are very excited about the opportunity coming through, because finally we can have a regulation to rely on, to follow through, where we can offer a very interesting and also very safe investment product to our customers, so that we don't have to suffer from the DeFi crisis, or customers don't have to be subject to products that they may not understand. So I think these two are the biggest area that we can see.
Especially with some of those early adapters moves toward operating in this space, like, for example, JP Morgan or the South Korea's KP Bank. They already have a foot in the metaverse. So can we say that this is really promising and we can look up to it? And the other thing, what are they doing and how will this impact the banking industry?
They have tried to incorporate metaverse into their products, or at least into their client experience. So for JP Morgan, this is actually one of the reports. That's what they say. They think the metaverse opportunity is a $1 trillion opportunity in terms of any revenues. And there are 5 areas that in fact they think could be interesting. In the metaverse, you can transact. So every year, about 54 billion will be spent on virtual goods. So that's almost double of the amount of money that the world has spent or will spend in music. Yeah, so that's quite a lot, when you think of it. You can socialize. Approximately about 60 billion worth of messages will be sent daily. So that's a decent amount. You can create, and this is what we call the second life. So second life means apart from your first life where you literally live under the 3D world, the second life allows you to live in the virtual world. And you can make a living in your second life. So that will be around $650 million in 2021, and probably around 80 million of those money will be paid to the creators, people who create contents in the second life. The 2 other aspects, apart from transact, socialize, and create. Basically, the other 2 are own. You can own NFT. The market will be about $41 billion now. I think it will be much bigger in the future. You can also experience. So far, there are about 200 strategic partners that comes together, including Sandbox, Warner Music, for example, who try to create contents and work together in the metaverse. So that's what JP Morgan's believe in. And then to obviously, offer a glimpse of what it could be, they work with Decentraland to enable that experience. So I try it myself. It's kind of cool. You can walk around, you can check out different places. There are limited service that you can do. You can't make a deposit there. You can ask for a loan there today, but that's today. I think it's a matter of time that you can. So with Kutmin Bank, which is in South Korea, they also have done quite a few really cool things. So I think they've done so much, but I'll highlight the important ones. The one that attracted me most is actually the virtual branch, where young people can have the opportunity to be educated on finance. They also will use the virtual branch to train their employees. So that's a very different concept now. I think with COVID now, everyone has experienced work from home. And so far, I think half of the people that I know don't want to go back to office. And we do believe that we can still work as efficiently as we would happen in the office, right? I mean, at least I think so. And I mean, a lot of my colleagues also think so. So being able to create an environment to attract talent, to attract and retain talents who want to work from home, who can actually perform their job as good at home, will be very important. And that's what Kutmin Bank is thinking about. So there are other stuff that they do for clients. They have an entrance, they have a VIP launch, very similar to the JP Morgan concept, and then they will allow customers to access personalized financial information. Again, this is something that will be quite basic in today's digital world, but it's the interaction that you enjoy. It's the fun part that you enjoy in the metaverse that make it different.
If I want to ask you to summarize the main lessons, so could you do that, like summarizing the main lessons from these 2 main experiences that you shared with us?
I think today, this thing goes so fast. And so this year, you have banks who are interested in telling the world that they are entering into the metaverse. So I just, this is me thinking, but I think next year, this time, a lot of these banks can actually offer real service where you can have your customer representative in front of you on a one-on-one basis, talking to the customers and addressing their need and potentially conducting some transactions. Again, those transactions has to go back to the real world, meaning the execution will be done in a so-called Web2 infrastructures, so the traditional banking infrastructures. But then you can actually conduct that transactions in the Web3 world, in the virtual world, and then get the execution and implementation done in the Web2 world. I think that's what these banks will immediately be able to do. And eventually, you basically, when the F3 infrastructure comes on, then that will be a big step forward.
What about those small firms, the startup companies, small banks even? What are the main challenges that they might face when they are looking for something like that, when they're trying to step into that world, but maybe they are facing different challenges? So what are they?
For the small firm, what they can do is, and what they have been doing a lot of time is actually good. They come to a fund company like us. One of our mission is to help companies to move into the so-called Web3 world. For basically blockchain and crypto adoptions. Again, blockchain is a much bigger world than crypto, and that's what we actually generally focus on. So it's not just buying or selling cryptocurrency that make your life interesting. We do think that as a corporate, you can actually save money, you can improve your process, you can also conduct your business in a more transparent way with the use of blockchain. So you do, I think for just one small corporate, for them to enhance their client experience, for them to retain their clients or even attract their clients, they should work with blockchain company to revolutionize their process.
In this journey, who are the right partners, like brand ambassadors, investors?
At this point, there are a lot of crypto companies who focus on a price action of the cryptocurrencies, be NFT projects that could be more friendly to the crypto native than to the rest of the world. So for normal corporates, for example, individuals or a family office who want to move into the metaverse or move into the Web3 world to perform certain functions, I think there are not many good partners out there, I have to say. And we're one of those who are very few of us who are there to provide blockchain service. Apart from hopefully when we're actually applying for licenses. So with the right license, we can hopefully provide crypto financial services. But apart from just crypto, I want to highlight blockchain is a much bigger world, and the metaverse will not just have NFT and cryptocurrencies. The metaverse will actually be eventually becoming blockchain infrastructures where customer can come on and can have basically peer-to-peer experience, and they can have all the transparency, and they can see the transactions. They can actually even co-create products with the banks, or they can co-create experience with the banks via a blockchain infrastructure. So that will be something that we think eventually we'll see more companies doing it. But for now, there are not many choices.
From an expert and an observer point of view, looking at the UAE's plans to use Metaverse as a tool to contribute to $4 billion to its economy by 2030. Can you share your thoughts? What do you think about this step?
To raise its contributions to Dubai GDP by 1%. So that's quite a lot. Imagine Dubai GDP is huge. So there are many different ideas. For example, Metaverse technology can help improve the performance of surgeons. They can provide improved productivity of engineers. They can also provide new jobs. For example, 42,000 new jobs can become virtuals. Apart from that, the Dubai Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority have also announced its intention to enter into the metaverse with the establishments of the metaverse headquarters in the virtual world of the sandbox, which is very interesting. Now, there's a regulator who come in and say, look, I'm going to give you a regulations framework, and also at the same time, there's a place for you, virtual space for you to basically understand what's going on. Basically, I think the amount of effort and also the actual impact will be huge. So you don't see a lot of country in this world, have it sharing or at least taking actions into an 8-year plan for various reasons. Some country thinks metaverse is a good thing, but then the cryptocurrency is not a good thing. Some other country may think, look, we need to learn more about this. Some country focus on actually crypto regulations or even the legal definition of what is considered a virtual asset. So different countries have different progress and different view. I think what Dubai has done is, and also have UAE have done, is extremely interesting.
Let's talk about ARTA TechFin Corporation Limited as a financial service institution that enhances applications in finance using technology. Who do you see those companies as players in the industry? And what are you doing so far in the same field?
So we're a relatively new company. We basically acquire distressed company, and then Dr. Adrian then was the one night who eventually become a majority shareholder, 75% owned, and also become the chairman of ARTA TechFin. So we're listed in Hong Kong under stock ticker 279. So what we do is, as you say, we try to enhance, financial applications using technology. That's a very wide description of what we do. And one of the areas that we try to improve is actually how financial services can be conducted, can be delivered to a client in a better way. Again, blockchain technology can help, and again, SaaS solution can help, which include a lot of automation in general. And finally, customer experience. So these are the three matters that we care to our heart, and then we basically have financial licenses in asset management, in brokerage, in investment banking. We have insurance brokerage license as well, and trustee, and also lending license. So with blockchain technology applications, we hope that we can serve our client better, where they can enter into the digital world, at the same time handling the traditional asset investments to trading. So it should be a one-stop solution for them. In terms of, your question about company as a player in the industry, I think we are kind of one-stop. So it's like a bank or like an integrated bank, except that they're much larger, they're much bigger, and they offer a lot more products. What we do is we try to focus on providing so-called integrated service where customers can, at our place, enjoy both digital asset experience and also traditional asset experience.
And that brings us to the last question, Mr. Lau, which is really related to the mindset of a leader. So what do you do to keep yourself informed and educated about those new trends in your field?
Well, I am very fortunate. I have a strong leader, a very inspiring leader, Dr. Adrian Zen. So Adrian, he, for example, he actually, I think by trying and actually almost like what we call it trial and error, you learn the most, and you have to, that's one way to keep yourself most interested, most informed, and most educated. So, for example, this year earlier, I think he has launched a campaign with HSBC in Hong Kong, where HSBC along with K11 have done NFT show, and the NFT show is huge. It's not just showing NFT painting; it's also in front of HSBC building. Basically, all these amazing NFT are being shown in front of a building. You can probably imagine I don't know how many stories there, probably 60, 80 story building full of NFTs. So we learn a lot through the process. You only learn by doing and probably failing sometimes. And for those who have a day jobs, and I'm sure the banking job will keep you busy. So as mine, I have a day job too. Your weekend is important. Reading is absolutely important this thing. So there are a few areas that I think one can learn. For those who are mathematically more gifted, or for those who are more interested in the technical, there are a lot of good papers out there for you to learn about what is blockchain. And blockchain, again, is much bigger than crypto. So apart from just learning crypto trading or crypto, tokenomics, one can also learn about crypto infrastructure, blockchain infrastructure. That's one area that I think, and also as a firm, we think is going to be hugely important, because that's like the new internet that we're going into. Customer has already won some new experience. They want to deal with a new infrastructures. It hasn't happened yet. We're still under the Web2 infrastructure, but then the Web3 infrastructure will take over at some point. And you have seen some very, very good company who come up with good solution, and then even the traditional banks are paying for it. So that's one way to learn. For those who are more interested in use case, we call use case, how customers want to enter into the metaverse or enter into the Web3 world, you gotta try the products almost. You gotta try the products. And I do that on weekend all the time, even during weekdays when I have time. So I try to go on different website. I hear about this product and try to use it like customers, so that you know why it's not good and why it's good, and then compare among products that you have used, and then discuss with your friends, and ask your friends to use it. I always do that, and I find it amazing, because from a service provider point of view, when we produce something, we always think that customer will like it. And then once you become a customer, you almost complain about everything, because things can always get better. Product can always get better. So I think that's why you learn by using the product. So go open a wallet, try to buy cryptos, try to work with a blockchain company, even on a small projects. Try to, for example, we have been working on supply chain financing. We're trying to revolutionize the way that loan market can operate. I mean, JP Morgan does that too. So I'm sure a bank will allow you to do so, putting paper contract into blockchain contracts, for example, which is smart contracts. So these are, experience that you can learn by actually doing it. I think that's the best way to learn. And if you really just want to sit back, then you can read some books. You can listen to YouTube and podcasts. I mean, I guess that those help as well. But by doing it is actually the best way.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lau, for this insightful talk. And that was like really an eye-opening episode for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And I hope I will come back again.
Sure, you will, because it's a never-ending journey when it comes to technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you.